Well, you're not gonna believe it, but they sent me a frickin' laser. That's right, you heard me correctly. The company Creality, who is pretty well known for their 3D printers, I think, has decided in their infinite wisdom that I needed a laser, an actual frickin' laser. And I said, you know what? I couldn't agree with you more. I do need a laser. And so here we are. In front of me is the Creality Falcon2 40-watt CNC laser. Now, before we go any further with this video, I do just want to state up front that I am no expert. I have never operated a machine like this before in my life. I don't think I've ever even been in the same room as a laser, and my experience with CNC is pretty much limited to my 3D printer, which also happens to be a Creality, coincidentally. So if you're coming to this video looking for tips and tricks or ideas on how to be a laser wizard, this is definitely not the video for you. This video is more about, can a hobby machinist like myself, who is more comfortable operating 80-year-old mechanical machines than a digital wristwatch, learn to use a CNC laser? We're going to take things nice and slow and just go one step at a time, starting at the very beginning. And with that in mind, I guess we should start with assembly, which honestly was really, really easy. You literally just watched me unbox and assemble the entire machine in the intro to this video. First off, there are these feet, and you just screw those into each corner. You also get this assortment of attachments for the feet, and these are just used to raise or lower the entire unit for thicker or thinner materials. The laser itself is this square unit here. It comes pre-assembled and attaches via this dovetail, which allows it to be easily raised or lowered to accommodate the proper height offset for whichever material you happen to be engraving or cutting. The power connection is located right next to the power button, and last but not least is the air pump, which connects to the spot labeled air pump. While we're here, we should take just a second to talk about this air pump, because as I understand it, this is one of the unique features of this machine. This machine has its own built-in forced air system that is routed through the machine and blows directly on the laser. This helps to keep the laser clean, it clears smoke away, and it prevents heat from building up in the work. And I don't have to know anything about lasers to know that that's a good thing. You can actually control the strength of the air with this little knob right here. And that's it. Like I said, this thing is dead simple to set up and assemble, which is great and all, but let's see how easy it is to actually use. Alright, so before we start firing lasers in my shop, let's take a quick second to go over the safety protocols of this machine. On the front of the laser here, you'll see that there are these 3 LED lights. These LED lights serve as a monitoring and alarm system for these 3 things. That is the airflow, fire detection, and the state of the lens. So for instance, my airflow light is blinking red right now, and that's because my air pump is turned off. In the middle is fire. This machine actively monitors for fires near the laser, and the last light is lens. This monitors whether or not the lens is dirty or obstructed. So to summarize, during normal operation, you should see these 3 lights all lit up green, and if they're lit up green, you know that the monitoring systems are working and not detecting any issues. You also, of course, have the typical emergency stop button, which operates exactly as you'd expect. And then right next to that, you also have this on-off physical lock. The machine does come with a set of keys. So if you have kids or something like that, you can physically lock this machine in the off position, and nothing you do will turn the machine on until this is unlocked with the key. All right, and with that out of the way, let's start firing some lasers. To get started, I just have this little piece of wood. The machine came with a couple of these. It is right around 80 thousandths thick. Yes, we are definitely going to test metal in this machine. That's really one of the big reasons I wanted it. But like I mentioned, I have no idea how any of this works. So let's get some practice in on these little pieces of wood, see if I can't get a feel for how this thing operates. And then once I'm a little more comfortable, we can try some different types of metal. The first thing that I want to try is to just generate a material test grid, which you can do right from inside of this software that I'm using. The software that I'm using is called Lightburn. There are a couple of different types of software that you can use to control these machines. This just happens to be the one that works with my computer. I'm not going to go over the software itself too much because I really don't know how to use it myself, and depending on what type of computer you're using, you might have some different options and you might use a different software. I am just going to use these default settings for this test grid, which is basically just going to print a bunch of squares at different speeds and power settings, which should give us some sort of idea as to how the laser is going to react with whatever material we're cutting this test grid into. If I push this frame button, it'll show me on the machine where the laser is intending to cut so that I can make sure everything is positioned correctly. And everything looks good there, so let's start the program and see how it goes. Okay, I've been deciphering this test a little bit, and from what I can tell, this is a single pass line test. So what this is telling us is essentially that this thing will, in a single pass, cut straight through a piece of wood this thick at 40% power, 600 millimeters per minute. So I guess that gives us some sort of baseline as to what this thing can do. But honestly, this isn't that exciting, so let's try something a little more interesting. And of course, I couldn't help myself. I had to try my logo. It looks decent, I guess. I mean, all that I did was just drag a PNG file of my logo into the software. I really still have no idea what I'm doing. So honestly, I think the fact that I was able to get even this good of results just kind of goes to show how easy it is to get started with this thing. You know, I think it's one of those things where it's very easy to get up and running, but it will probably take you a long time to master. And the other thing that I'm really impressed with is how smooth this edge is. It was really cool to watch the machine just in one pass just and cut this thing out, and there's no soot or anything like that from the burn. I mean, I'm really impressed with that, and that has got me wondering, I wonder how thick of wood material I could really cut with this. Okay, this is a 1/2 inch piece of birch plywood. Let's see how we did. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That is incredible. That is 1/2 inch birch plywood, and we just lasered through it. A little bit of soot on that one. I guess that's to be expected. I mean, that is a pretty serious cut, but holy smokes. Yeah, I gotta say, I am impressed. That is kind of amazing. But I know that you did not come here to see this thing cut wood, so let's see if we can get this thing to engrave on some metal. All right, what I have here is a piece of 16 gauge steel. I think this is just mild steel. So because I have no experience and no idea how this is going to work, I think the best plan of attack is to just start with those test grids and keep going until I get some sort of decent result. And then once I get a feel for, sort of how to get a decent result out of this, maybe we can try something more interesting like my logo or something like that. All right, so I ran a few test grids in the steel and these are my results. This is the first grid that I ran, and initially I had turned the power settings way up because my thinking was I'm etching steel, so I'm going to need a lot of power. But as you can see, I ended up abandoning and canceling out of this grid because I realized that I was using way more power than I needed. So the first thing that I learned is that this machine has plenty of bandwidth and plenty of power to etch into metal. The second thing that I figured out is that in addition to your typical power and speed settings, this particular laser has these two distinct modes, precise and normal. They're indicated, of course, by these two LED lights on the top of the laser head. And the normal mode is your standard 40-watt full power laser. So this is going to give you the biggest, hottest, and most powerful laser. However, you have this little button on the top here, and if you press this and hold it in for a second, that light next to normal will go out and you'll now be in precise mode. And the precise mode actually produces a completely different beam. It's a much thinner and finer beam. So it's almost like the difference between a normal Sharpie marker and a fine point Sharpie marker. At least that's how I think about it in my head. And so essentially this is almost giving you two lasers in one. So you have a lot of room to do a lot of different things. And so here are the last two grids that I did, and I'm going to try and catch the light here so you can kind of see these colors a little bit better. But I think it's obvious what's happening here. This is steel and we're heating it up, so we're getting all of those colors that you get when you oxidize steel with heat, similar to tempering steel. So we have access to that whole range of colors. This is just the result of 3 test grids, and I was already able to start pulling all of these colors out of the steel. So this is very cool. I think the possibilities here are kind of amazing, and I think that there is a lot that can be done with this. So basically what I'm saying is I am pretty impressed and very excited with this machine's ability to etch into steel. I'm trying to catch the light here. I hope that you're seeing some of those really nice blues coming out in this area and the golds down here in the corner. It's just, it's really cool, and I think that there's a lot of possibility there. So I guess before we wrap up, I will try and put all of this practice together and do something interesting. What I have here is just a little metal keychain blank that I bought off of Amazon, and I am going to attempt to engrave my logo in this. So we'll see how it goes. And would you look at that golden logo engraved on that silver keychain? Tell me that doesn't look classy. That is pretty cool. And I mean, really, a result like this with very little practice, I really think that the possibilities from here, as I really begin to learn and understand how to use this thing, I think a lot can probably be achieved. But that's cool. And so I guess that's about where I'll wrap this one up for now. I could certainly go a lot further with this machine. There is a lot more to learn and a lot more that this thing is capable of, but I really just wanted to see what this machine could do with metal, and to be quite honest, I am impressed. This is an incredibly powerful and it seems like very versatile machine, and it seems like there is a lot to master and a lot of possibilities. Last but not least is is the question that I always try and answer whenever I take a look at a tool like this, and that is this a useful tool to have in the hobby shop? And I think the simple answer to that is yes, right? It's versatile, it's powerful, there's all sorts of stuff you can do with it. If you're just into making things in general, this machine can do all sorts of stuff. But I think the longer answer is it really depends. For the types of things that I normally do and the things that I believe people come to this channel to see, I think the big sell is the ability to engrave in metal. And this machine does have accessories to expand that ability even more. For instance, there is a rotary accessory that will allow you to engrave around the outside diameter of a part. How amazing would it be to be able to etch in a custom graduated scale for a new micrometer dial for your cross slide or whatever? I would really be interested to see how well that mechanism works. And if that works well, I think that it would really expand the uses for a tool like this in the hobby metal shop. So I guess that's about all I have to say. As usual, if you have made it this far into the video, thank you so very much. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you, especially for videos like this. I know it's a little bit different than what I normally do, so thank you and I appreciate you. If you are already a subscriber, thank you again. If you are not a subscriber, but you like what I do here and you feel like I've earned it, give me a like and a subscribe. If you feel like I haven't, let me know what I can do better in the comments down below. And as always, until next time, get out there, make something awesome. Most importantly, have some fun, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon.